Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Rosalind.
And welcome to Ultimately You, the chat show, podcast, and YouTube channel. Here is today's episode.
Rosalind and Amy. Today's episode is about the journey of life and into sisterhood, into ourselves, and into becoming the best version of us. We talk about this all the time together, and I think it's only right that we share it, see what you guys think, let us know in any comments, likes, or anything like that. But yeah, today is about us and how we've grown and what we're doing. So, I mean, this is a conversation we have how many times?
Yeah, it is. And it's funny, isn't it? Because you say how we've grown. Out of everything I've learned, it was the very fact of why we're here.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by that. I was blown away by the very concept that we sign up for what we're going to experience in this lifetime. And this goes quite deep, I know,
Yeah.
but I was so curious. I just was scrambling to get to know more. And it put things into perspective for me of what I was going through in my life.
Yes.
And it made me look at my family differently and even my friends.
Absolutely.
It made me become more forgiving and understanding of just take that step back and see from their perspective and understand that their journey is very different from my own.
Mm-hmm.
So what I learned was, and what I've understood with working with clients as well, so it sort of reinforced it, you know.
It's really difficult to not have that similarity between it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's so what I was learning was that, and I get excited about this as you can tell, is the fact that we actually as a soul, most of us, if not all of us, have been here many times before, most of us have been here before, and we've had different life experiences.
Yeah.
And we have, when I say different life experiences, we could have, been beaten in one lifetime, and we could have, it's what our soul, we need to understand every side of life, every part of life. And for our soul to grow, to evolve, we need to come to terms with that, that's what's happening. So we sign up and we say, I want to experience this lifetime. It might be that you're miscarrying, or you need to experience what it feels like. You may have, with your partner, you know, you may get so many years down the line in wedded bliss, and then all of a sudden you take different paths, and you know you've grown, and you both have grown, and realise that that's it now. It's change. It's because we have all these bends in the road as what we call life, these corners that we turn, so to speak. And while our soul is signing up for what it wants to experience in this lifetime, we have other souls that say, hey, I'm going to help you too. I'm going to press those buttons for you.
Yeah.
And then buttons can be big.
Oh yeah. Those huge.
And I'm going to help you to experience that.
Yeah. And it's an experience.
Yeah, and what I understand is that they are our soulmates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could have been with you in a previous lifetime before.
Absolutely.
And it could be sister, brother, mother, auntie, uncle, friend, whatever. But they've come back to say, I'm going to irritate you. So it could be about relationships, for example.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to press those buttons. And you could think that on the earth plane, you hate that person because they're bringing this side of you out. But it's a side that needed to come out for you to grow. And you wouldn't recognise it otherwise.
No, because how would you see that?
Well, you wouldn't. You just get more traumatised by it all. You feel more emotional with it all, and you have more hatred towards that person.
Yeah.
When actually, they're just, because we have amnesia when we're born, so they don't know, but they're just playing out what they was meant to do. And most of the time, it is at the closest people to us, like family, etc. Because they are close, they're under our nose, And I'm not saying this is all the time, because it's not, but they're under our nose, and it can be as irritating as hell. And it really, really can, because you think, and sometimes you don't even know why you've got a problem with that person.
No, not at all.
And you don't even know they're really pressing your buttons. You just don't click. It's about an energy thing as well, or and sometimes it might just be that. But ultimately, if they're bringing out an emotion in you, then that's being done for a reason.
Yeah.
So in that circumstance, Amy, I know that, you know, with our own work that we've done, I help people to forgive.
Yeah. But forgiveness is really misunderstood. Because when we talk about forgiveness, it's not forgiving them for what they've done in a sense. It's accepting what happened.
Yes.
Because forgiveness is not condoning behaviour.
No.
Far from it. It's really not saying that somebody should have acted that way, especially when you look at some of the things that we've dealt with friends or clients in abusive relationships and things like that. Forgiveness is not acceptance that that was the right thing to do. It's acceptance that you don't need to carry it with you for the rest of your life.
Very true, because if we don't forgive so that you can spread your wings, so to speak,
Absolutely.
and move on with your life, you're still going to continue to usually have that hatred in you, or that anger in you, or still emotion lying there. And that's not a good place to move on.
No, because it holds you down. It's not holding anybody else down. That weight and that chain, if you will, that you carry with you from what that other person's done to you, needs to be put down.
And you're right, and I like that way that you say chain, because actually that chain is, you know, it's breaking the chain, breaking that link in that chain, so that, you know, you're saying, right, okay, I forgive you, and because I'm ready to move on.
Absolutely.
I'm ready to move on for this. And it's doing it for your own sanity.
Oh, God, isn't it
for your own sake. You're not doing it, you are doing it. Once you forgive, you set them free as well. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to learn their lessons or whatever. What it means is that you need to break your attachment from that person. So going back to the life journey and going back to what you're here for, oh dear. I can only say that, you know, running the same patterns in your life.
Yes.
So if somebody's running the same pattern with relationships, you know, if somebody's running the same pattern with their finances, if someone's running the same pattern with, you know,
jobs,
yeah, there's many things, and I'm sure that whoever's listening to this is going to identify with something, because we've all got something to move on from.
Absolutely.
See it, instead of that's against me, see it that the universe loves you so much. The right people are in your face, in your way, to help you to move.
Yeah.
And it's only when the problem becomes big enough and explodes that you realise when you're on your knees, usually is when I see clients, that, well, I don't know what's wrong, but I keep, you know, this is it's like we talked about treadmill with weight loss and etc. It's the same thing. You're going round and round in circles, you're not getting anywhere, and then you feel that there's something wrong with you.
And it's not.
No.
It's not you. It never is.
No.
It's what you're here to learn and to go through and to deal with and put to bed once and for all.
Yeah.
Because in life's big journey, you know, there are so many cliched quotes, but they're all cliches because they're based in a truth. You can set yourself free, you know, and that again goes back to the acceptance and forgiveness, because it's happened. You have to break the cycle. And yeah, normally that we don't realise that until we are at that point where we're on our knees.
Yeah.
Whatever situation that is, whether it is something that seems meaningless at the time but you've absolutely had enough, or it's catastrophic and your world gets turned upside down, until that point do you actually take that step back and go, I can't do this anymore.
It's when that disruption happens, like you say, and I've always spoken about it in a way of a volcano.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have this volcano and it's just bubbling away, bubbling away, bubbling away. And then it starts where it hits eruption stage.
Yeah.
And whether that's when I've done, you know, healing with Reiki, healing, you know, or on whatever level it is, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, you know, but it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody's getting under your skin, you know, then, and they're angering you,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to look at yourself.
Yeah, always, because it's a mirror.
Yeah, yeah. And it's what we need to know about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've started to, if I feel irritated by something, then I think, why did I feel irritated by that?
What's really got under my nose?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What is really going on? Why am I angry about that right now? Or why does that keep showing up in my life? You know?
But it's that pause to reflect on that, because, you know, I think what's important to remember for a lot of people is that you are never going to be perfect. And that is the best thing to accept. We are always striving towards being the best version of ourselves. So do you deserve to carry that weight of that anger or that emotion or that resentment, bitterness, those things? Because actually, no, nobody deserves to feel anything less than happy.
And it's like what you say, you know, being the best version of ourselves, even though people don't know what that is, because they're so used to conforming with what society says we should be, of what our parents have instilled with us as we've been growing up, you know. But it's about accepting your uniqueness. I know, you know, it's really, when I started doing this 17 years ago, I was weird. I was classed as weird. I was told I was weird. I was told I'd joined a cult. No, seriously. And do you know what?
Wow.
Do you know what was the hardest thing for me? Was the fact of I'd found something that was helping me to heal.
Yeah.
Helping me to get rid of my childhood wounds that made me not want to be here anymore. I can't say I suffered with depression, but I was there with pills in my hand, you know. And yet I'd found the very thing. I knew I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
What I knew was that I just felt this urge that I needed somebody to take out inside what was, take the pain away. If somebody was to put their hands in my body and just take that pain away.
Yeah.
But I'd never heard of healing. I didn't know what it was. I didn't get it on any level. But when I did start doing that, I'm feeling a tangible shift, a change. But others around me, I was weird. What am I into? In fact, I was told I was having a breakdown. No, I was.
How nice.
And I thought, well, I'm not doing too bad on it, really.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I knew what it was doing for me because I continued to do it.
Yeah, well, it was your path.
It was my path, and I knew I needed to continue to, I knew what I was getting with my clients, what I was doing, and I also knew with myself the difference it was making. And I had to accept that I was in a minority. I had to accept that I couldn't even, you know, my sisters are not into this, you know, my brother's not, my mum's always stood by me, but yeah, and it was tough. It was tough.
It is. And I think that's the difference, because, I mean, I actually went to therapy, traditional therapy, and it worked wonders. But it for me personally, it was like a plaster. It covered the wound.
Yeah.
I'd got somebody there that could talk to me and make me feel like my opinions and my life mattered, but I could not agree with you more on, I literally just wanted somebody to sort of just reach in and go, okay, I'll take that. You don't need that.
Yeah.
And that's why therapy didn't really work for me. So I was left searching for more. Because I thought, well, this person has spent their time helping me and I'm grateful for it, and oh gosh, if I saw the therapist now I would still thank her. But there was more that I needed. and I couldn't put my finger on it. And it wasn't until I found my spiritual side again that I thought, okay, you know, we're all connected, but where am I connected in all this? And that's the part, I think, where you have to realise that it's your own journey, you know. And yes, traditional therapies really work, but if you're after something more, it's okay to admit that. It's okay to say that it wasn't enough to help you, and it couldn't have been for me, and it wasn't, as you know, because I came straight to you and I said, I don't know what it is, but I need it. And that was more, you know, that connection that I needed. Just somebody to understand my soul level of hurt and upset. And that's where the path, I think, that we've taken can be ridiculed quite easily because it's misunderstood in many ways.
Yeah.
You know, we would absolutely love to be tie-dye wearing hippies in a field. And a part of us is, really.
Bring it on, bring it on.
Bring it on. But we're also modern. We're modern spiritual.
Yeah.
And that's even less understood than traditional spiritual. So it's hard. And I think the hardest thing is accepting it's your own path.
Yeah.
And it's different even in families, even in friendship circles. I have friends that I absolutely would not be without. Do they understand what we do? Nope.
Yeah.
But they just accept it. And until that I'd got that friendship group that accepted it, did I not feel I was supported? And that's a big thing when you're on your own.
Yeah, and it is a lonely place with all of this, isn't it? And like you say, I mean, you know, jokingly, you know, I just said bring it on about the tie-dye and the hippie thing. And, you know, there's part of me that, you know, I like, because I love all of this, does not mean that you know, sometimes I do sort of probably appear to be a little bit like that. But most of the time, I would never have been accepted in a medical centre.
No.
I would have, because I didn't look that sort of stereotypical person.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, like we say. But actually, I think it's, certain things can give it a bad name or a stigma.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for, a stigma with it. And I never felt that I appeared to be that way, but it was just comments that affected me mentally.
Yeah.
And from the people that you would least expect it to be, that was hurtful. And then I learned about the soul purpose, and I learned, and I, you know, the more digging that I did, and found that that we're all here uniquely on our own individual paths, as we've already said, and not to judge yourself against others, and that just be the best mentor in a way. And it's a bit like religion and politics, you know. It's you just watch what you say, because it's like, you know, I would never want to preach this sort of thing to people, but when we look at people that struggle the most, that are searching, they're not being accepting enough of themselves.
Absolutely.
Because they're watching what other people are doing, and, you know, like the younger generation, you know, with the social media thing, we're comparing, you know, we have to have 2.4 children, and that's not the way that probably your life path was ever going to go.
No, or should go.
So it's about just stepping back and saying, what is it that makes me tick in life?
Yeah, what do you want?
Yeah, it's not about what my spouse wants. It's not about what my children say. It's not about what my mother, father, anybody else has to say. It's about you, personally, uniquely.
Because when you do, everybody else benefits too.
They do, because your energy improves. Everything improves.
Literally everything improves.
Yeah, because you're not, well, otherwise you're being false.
Yeah. It's being your most authentic self. For
years and years, until I started doing this, and even till of late, really, there's always been some sort of mask that I've covered up my past.
Yeah.
I've covered up, you know, and now I feel that those layers have been moved. And it's not always a lot of healing that people have to do either.
No.
It's just identifying what is going on in their life and just knowing that there's always going to be people that will talk you out of things because they don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand it. But you know what? Very often they can lead to be the people that need it the most too. I can remember when I written my book, and it was really bizarre because I talked about certain things, but
Yeah.
because I was passionate about what I do, and when I was training there was all books all over the house and one thing and another, and I never thought that my husband had taken any notice of me whatsoever. I didn't, of what I say, and because he's not into this at all, you know. His meditation's the gym and, you know, doing different things.
Yeah.
But actually he was one of the first to read my book, and he turned around and he said, oh, he said, it surprised me. I understand what you're talking about. I get it. And
Yeah.
I've heard you talk about it. And I thought, oh, that surprised me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't ask him to read it. Didn't ask him to look at it.
Yeah.
But it was lovely the way that it just happened. And I believe that the right people come to you when they're ready.
Oh, don't they just? Look at us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's synchronicity.
Yeah.
It's serendipity in your life. And so it's remembering that we go through life in stages. We're learning to, even if it's that we're here to learn patience this time.
Which I clearly need to learn.
And that we're here, me too. And also about loving ourselves more.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of things that I've seen already of like, okay, so I'll work with that. You know, they're showing me love, and I'm not, you know, I've had love as a child being brought up, but I've struggled to feel it.
Yes.
I don't now, but then I work a little bit more with it because it didn't come naturally to me. And that was no fault of mine. That's what I came to learn this time.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that people really loved me. And it really jeopardised a lot in my business too, of me actually stepping out.
Yeah.
Because the fear of rejection, where now I'm over it.
Yeah.
You know,
But that's because you've aligned with your path, really. You've accepted that you are on this.
Yeah.
For no matter what it throws at you.
Yeah.
But you are on this path that's yours, that's Rosalind's, that's nobody else's. It's not going to identify with anybody.
Yeah.
It's not going to resonate with anybody else. It's just simply not. But you've got people in support and faces and things in it that support you.
Yeah.
And actually, when you stop and have a look, there are always people there.
I totally agree
And
with
you can sometimes miss that.
Yeah.
And people can surprise you if you let them.
Yeah, and going back to what you say about missing, the missing is when we're still in the negativity mode, when we're surrounded by negativity. When we start to be more open to the universe, and we start to realise that, well, that's happened, and, you know, it can be something bad in your life, but see it as, thank you for showing me the way, universe, you know, just little things like that, then you realise that, oh wow, because if you overcome that hill, on the other side, it's a beautiful meadow.
It is, and it always is.
Yeah, but it's just that it goes back to what we said before about control, and we want our life to be exactly as we imagine it to be, all right? And that's why I don't like setting goals too far in the future.
There's no point.
Because actually I've realised I'm far more productive and can be far more aligned and living in the flow when it's just the goals shorter term, because I don't have the plan for the future.
That is key then, living in the flow.
Exactly.
That's the vibe.
Yeah.
Because when you truly live in the flow, you are rolling with the punches or going with the flow and all of those sayings.
Yeah.
But all that means is that you take less stress on and put less pressure on yourself to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Because we don't.
It just leads you to feeling exhausted.
Constantly.
Living in your head. When the answers are already there. We just need to take a step back from it all.
Yeah, and there are always people. You know, and how many times have we had a call and gone, I'm feeling like this today. And we've gone, I'm so glad you've said that, because so am I.
Yeah.
And it's so important to discuss this and how people are feeling. How are you feeling? You know, and it's such a simple sentence, but when you're living in the flow, you learn that actually, yes, it is, sometimes it's hard. Life can be hard, but it's a lesson. And that always sounds so, you never understand that when people say it to you, oh, well, it's a lesson, you know, you'll be fine. And you think, my life's just fallen apart. How dare you reduce it to something as trivial as a lesson? But then, yeah, maybe 6 months to a year later, you think, I am so glad that happened, because if it hadn't, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And there may be even people listening to this now or watching it and that are thinking, I can't accept that. And, you know, at one time that was me also.
And me.
And I think it's really not putting the pressure on you to understand it, but it's just saying, you know, you the biggest thing is knowing that you're not alone, and that you won't ever remember really what you came here for. And it's finding that coming here, you don't really know the lessons that you've gone through, but I do believe that it's all about finding that true happiness. It's all about feeling the love. You know, we're here, it's trial and error really, you know.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, we're a spiritual being having a human experience, and it's like, oh, I said that the right way. Yeah. And it's like, we think that we've been plonked on earth and we should know exactly what to do because everyone's always told us. But who said they were right? Who said they were right and that they know you that well? You know? Your soul knows what you need. So I think the takeaway from this today is about people finding what makes you tick.
Yeah, and
That's
accepting it.
Because,
you know, sometimes you can be on a path and you think it's right, but you've still got those doubts.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you may think, okay, but this was the right thing to do, wasn't it? And you start to doubt yourself. And how many times have we done that? And actually, what helped us was to stop and think, what is it that we actually want? And if it's not what you're doing, that is okay. It does not have to be forever. Most of this is temporary. You know, you have the option to always change, but it's also believing that you can and that you're worthy and you're deserving of change, because most of the time we get bogged down with that and we don't realise.
And that was a vibe.
Oh, and
Believing that you can.
Believe that you can.
Yeah.
Because there's always somebody there that will help you, support you and love you. And yes, sometimes it might be the last person you expected too. But, you know, you're not on your own with anything. And feeling unconnected to what your soul wants is not a negative in itself. Because sometimes that crash or that pause enables you to actually take stock of things for what it is.
Yeah.
Not what you think it is, because we're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
But what actually is this situation, and does it fulfill me?
Yeah.
Because the best version of you lies in being the most fulfilled version of you.
Yeah, and I think the takeaway really here is that you have the side of you that we say, you know, there is lessons to learn and that we overcome. And some people have not signed up for anything too harsh. Or,
Absolutely.
you know, well, what we say is harsh, if that makes sense. But so you've got, you know, you're bumbling along and you've got your life lessons and that you overcome. So the first thing is notice the signs.
Yeah.
Notice the people that are triggering you. Why are they triggering you? You know?
Yeah.
What is it about them that's, and sometimes there's some ways that they are that we're not accepting of ourselves.
Yes.
Okay, so it's looking at that. But we've also got the other side of it is, the biggest turn for me was, while I'm on my healing path and I'm noticing all these things to overcome, I'm also looking at the things that make my heart sing. So I'm also looking at, where do I like to be the most? Well, for me, it's always flowers. It's always like a garden centre. It's always, when I pick up a paintbrush, I've known me literally say, right, okay, I've got that overwhelmed by things that I've just, what can I paint next?
Yeah.
And I'm not no artist. I'm talking decorating, I'm talking outside, whatever it is, but I lose myself in that. But I enjoy doing it. So I'm one of the crazy ones that just loves glass. I can't believe I'm even saying that.
Really?
But yeah, I do. I
I'm
love
kind of judging you a little bit now.
there's something about that white sheen, and I know it's not always white, but no, I love it. Love glossing.
Wow, signing you up for my house then
More
now.
than emulsioning. It's crazy, isn't
Really?
it? And there's something about, you know those lines, just getting them right.
Oh my gosh. Now I get that because that satisfies me, but
Yeah,
glossing, really?
yeah. I know. I've always been the same. Glossing.
Well,
Yeah.
you've signed yourself up for jobs now, lot.
Yeah.
You get everybody commenting like,
Crazy.
you could come over.
There I am, confession of the day. So, but yeah, and the thing is, I know what to do with myself and where to take myself.
And a lot of people don't. That's the difference.
Yeah,
Because that's the first step. And a lot of women especially lose themselves in jobs, relationships, children, whatever that is, and then think, oh, what did I used to do for fun?
yeah,
And it's trial and error. Grab a friend, say, I need to do something for me and I have no idea what this is.
but you know what? A very good exercise to do is to sit peacefully by yourself with a notepad and just write down what it was as a child
You loved.
that you love to do. Because that child's still within you.
100%.
We just forget because we're grown up, we're supposed to be responsible.
I'm
Right?
boring. No.
So we forget all of those things. So, but going back to that child, what did that child like to do? And it's usually, and you think, oh, that's crazy. I'm
so
a mother now,
simple.
and like me, a grandma, and it's like, but it is those little things.
It is.
It is those little things, and even I'll just say this, even like my grandson, we was out just going for a walk to see the horses, and he just grabbed hold of my hands and started doing Ring Ring of Roses. Oh, not only did my heart melt, but we must have done it 20 times before we got back.
Yeah.
And it brought that child out in me again, that was just carefree and just living for the moment.
It is.
And it was something else. And that made me look at him and think, wow, for him, yes, he's enjoyed doing it too. But it probably brought more enjoyment to me.
Absolutely.
Because he's doing it in nursery every day he goes.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm experiencing that.
Yeah.
And that was just a lovely, beautiful...
Stopping to smell the roses, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the vibe. It's actually accepting that sometimes you just need to pause.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know I'm a walker. Me and my dog are out all the time.
Yeah.
But I used to do that as a child as well. I was always in the park. Whether it was with my parents, who were really lucky that we had the park next to our house, or with our grandparents, where we went everywhere with, and the other day, me and my friend said, you know what we need to do? We need a picnic. We need to go and put some triangle jam sandwiches in a lunchbox and a rug, and we need to go and sit and have a picnic.
Yeah.
Because it's the simple things, it really is, that you don't realise how much you've missed until you don't do them anymore.
And again, in the situation that we're in now, it makes you think outside the box.
Yes.
And, which we did mention before. And that's wonderful, isn't it? Instead of thinking, oh, let's go for a meal somewhere. Yeah, that's great. And
we enjoy it.
And we do enjoy it. But, I equally enjoy that sort of thing as much. And living where I do, it's just full of walks, a bit like where you are. So I take it for granted, actually, that I've got that.
We do. We really do. Because actually, until you stop doing it, do you realise how much it meant to you?
Yeah.
And, taking that inner child pause to go, what did I used to love doing?
Yeah.
And actually, it was baking with my mama all the time. And so what did I do during lockdown? I baked.
Yeah.
Did I love it? Absolutely. Did it bring me peace and happiness and so many memories? Absolutely. Will I try to take it forward? Yeah, because that inner child loved watching those muffins rise in the oven and licking the spoon, and I can hear everybody telling me off not doing it, and it's those things that you forget. As an adult, we don't have to be serious.
Yeah.
Because actually serious is pretty dull.
well, I think we've become too serious, and I've got to say that was part of when I became working in therapy. I changed because I started to understand the mindset more, and I started to listen to my language patterns and all of that. So I'd gone through that stage, and it was my own children, it was my son actually, that said, "Mum, you've changed." And I thought, "Oh, really?" But I was studying so much and working with clients, and I had to be, you know, in hypnotherapy, you have to be careful what you say.
Yeah.
So, but I sort of, because I work a little bit differently, even though I use some of that, it's all different now. It's not, and I've realised that I do need to have a good laugh and bring all of that back.
How much better do you feel though when you've had a good giggle?
Amazing.
It's the simplest therapy on the planet.
Yeah.
Just ringing that person or going to see that friend or family member and just either reminiscing or even starting something new and just having a good old giggle.
Yeah.
It's almost like a soul exercise.
Yeah.
And that's a vibe.
Yeah, soul exercise. So when we think of today of you know, this soul journey, and we signed up for it, and we're growing with it, and we're noticing the signs from the universe, and we're acting on it and saying thank you, instead of, oh, here we go again, I'm a failure, you know, this is my track record, this is the way that why do I always attract the wrong men, or why do I always attract the wrong wife, or why do I attract this, why do I attract that into my life? Well, the fact is it's time to let go,
and move on.
It's time to move. And I appreciate sometimes it's challenging to do it by yourself. I get that.
Yeah.
I've always had people, you know, that I can turn to that help me in my field. But it can be done. And these people are not broken.
No.
The fact is, they're growing.
And it's growing pains for a reason.
And growing pains. And they're awakening at the same time, which is how far they want to go. That's fine. So it's actually a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. And what I find is that more empaths, like we are, really have a tough time with this as well.
The patterns keep coming until you let them go.
They do, and because we're caring natured and we want to help everybody, then the pull's there. There's no wonder and no coincidence why a lot of nurses are empaths.
Oh God.
And they, you know, but that's something, you know, that's another
podcast.
Another podcast. But yeah, so out of today, it's just about noticing those things that are happening in your life, and instead of seeing them as negatives, just reframe them.
Yeah.
Thank the universe for showing you what you came to learn.
Yeah.
And letting it go.
Acceptance and letting it go.
Yeah, acceptance is the key in capital letters. And also looking at what you enjoyed doing as a child, and go and gravitate towards the things that you enjoy doing. That time just passes by so quickly. And talking of that, that's probably near to the end.
Well, it is. So go and find your inner child. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
And look after yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's the most important thing. So thank you for tuning in and joining us. We will be back next week. Probably I think we need to delve more into that mindset.
Yeah.
And you need to give me some inspiration on this hypnotherapy side of the programming that we forget that inner child with.
Yeah.
Because that's heavy.
Yeah.
So tune in. That will probably be next time. Thank you so much. We've been Rosalind and Amy, and we'll see you again.